Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fuck I Dropped My Sushi and Now There's Dust on It. I'm toning it back. I'm told from the millions of comments that I got last time that
Welcome to the Fuck I Dropped My Sushi and Now There's Dust on It! Yeah! We got a real rager of a show coming on this week, people. Sands of Destruction. As always, I have my beloved guests today. We have Joey the Dark Lord. Say hi, Joey.
Hey, how's it going? What's up?
Oh, great. Shut up. All right. Also, we got Chase the Spank Master. What is good, my brother?
Can I get another intro, please?
What is up, Chase the Spank?
Choice.
All right. And we also got Generally Bananas Ben. How are you doing, buddy?
To get in the headspace of the Sands of Destruction, I packed my pants full of the stuff, and trust me, it is destroying me pretty good.
Wait, is it like full of actual sand, or is it like Sand of Destruction's DVDs?
Either would be good,
Sands of Destruction
honestly.
DVDs ground up with a...
They're
So
both
real sand.
They're
It
both
turned
coarse
into
and
sand.
rough, and they get everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And I, of course, am your beloved host, the infinite cuck, Steven. Thank you all for joining us today. Wow, what a week. All right, I'm done hijacking Joey's
Oh,
spiel.
son
Go
of a
ahead.
bitch! You can't just pull out on me now. All right, well,
Too
you
late.
know, how's it going, everybody? We just watched a doozy of a show. Okay, I think it's fair to describe Sands of Destruction as embedded within the mythos of this podcast.
Yeah.
I think I'm not just embedded. It is the mythos. It is nothing but
Yes.
sand.
You see,
Yes.
we recorded 6 practice episodes for this show, and this was the second thing we watched. And
Yeah.
And it was so
ingrained
bad.
in our-
It was so bad that we all agreed that we couldn't properly do this this podcast without
Adding in some good shows.
without doing it. Yeah, without doing this terrible show.
Yeah,
now.
everyone watching this
So we
needs to
did.
watch at least some of Sands of Destruction.
No, you need to watch all of it.
Just
You need to understand our pain. You need to live with that.
It's a pain that cannot be
This
described.
show somehow has earned like a 7.1 or something on Mal. It does not deserve that. It
has-
deserves zeros
It
across
has
the board.
surprising amount of fan
Well, I don't-
content as
I don't know
well. A
about
surprising amount of
zero.
cosplay. It's
I-
weirdly liked.
Chase, did you just say you don't know about zeros?
For one reason alone. I get to watch you guys suffer too, and that's worth more to me than anything in the world.
Well, yeah, that is great.
Okay. The show in and of itself is a -1, and it should be classified as such.
That's pretty high on the negative scale.
Yeah, Steven, what's up with that? I would say this is like probably the worst anime I've ever seen. You know, and that's not to say that I'm like such a great anime guru. I've seen all the shows. I haven't. It's just that this one is the writing is so fucking incomprehensible in places. It's
Elfen
seen-
Lied.
Yes, I would say it's even worse than Elfen Lied, although I haven't seen Elfen Lied recently, so I don't know. Maybe I gotta compare.
Oh, I think I know what we gotta watch soon.
Oh no.
I certainly
Oh,
hope
boy.
not.
I wouldn't give it that low of a score, really. I've seen worse. Just because this show isn't as cynical as a lot of stuff that comes out now.
Wait, what show is worse?
Like
Yeah.
Asterisk War, for one. Not to
War's not.
copy Digi.
I don't think
it's-
Asterisk
I'd-
War's worse than this.
I'd say it's
I
more
do.
stupid, but not as bad.
I do. This is at least enjoyable in its badness. Asterisk War is like
See,
bitter.
Ass War is uninspired. This show is just ridiculous and dumb the entire way through.
But I love
The
it.
one thing that Asterisk War has going for it is that it actually like kind of is a power fantasy. Like it's the main character is set up to be something that young guys look at and go like, yeah, he's so cool. He does everything. He never loses. He gets all the girls. You know, he's always modest or whatever. There's nothing in this show. This show's like it's not even good at being adventure. it's just bad at everything.
But what if I want to be a little teddy bear that says Kuma all the time?
In fact, I think the perfect way to describe Sands of Destruction is a 13-layer cake. Each layer progressively builds up on its own level of shit.
With more sand.
There is no like downhill after a certain episode. It continues to push itself farther into bigger and better things unknown. Like you can't expect to watch a show and say like, oh well, that episode at least was like not as bad as the other ones, because if they aren't all on the same level, they progressively get worse each episode in my book.
I think we should start off with a very popular segment on the show. It's been around since the beginning. It's been around since the first episode, and that would be Chase. Please take it away.
This time, it's not even going to be a contest, a competition, or a poll, because there is only one answer in this episode of Choose Your Waifu. The only answer.
Let's hear what you got.
The only answer is Leah. I think we can all agree on that.
Nope. Wrong.
Incorrect.
Wrong.
Also
Wrong.
false.
I disagree.
Well, when it's your turn, you can fucking talk.
All right. That's Chase. All right, it's Steven's turn now.
Nope, my turn still. my only argument. She's a cute dragon girl, wears a maid costume.
Yeah.
Okay. Low standards. Great. Steven, who do you think
Are you
is
calling
the
Kobayashi
is
Dragon
the
Maid
best?
low standard?
So listen,
Motherfucker.
if I had to choose one girl in this entire show to say was my waifu or should be my waifu, it would be none of them. They all suck, and I hate all of them. And they all suck equally.
Oh.
They're all trash.
Here we
They
go
all have
again with
terrible
the
voice
same
actors.
answer
But,
as last
hold on.
time.
What about
But-
the lolly from
but-
episode 2?
Hear me out. All right? If I had to choose one waifu, it would be either Morte, so that I could have an easier in to kill her, or it would be the notorious hot fluff of tail.
The rape victim from 5. Yeah.
I would choose rape victim hot fluff of tail from episode 5. If not, Morte, who I could kill. The only reason I would make Morte a waifu was so that I could get close enough to kill her. But if that's not an option, then I would have to go with the hot fluff of tail, because she is quiet. She's submissive. I know if I told her to shut up, she'd shut up.
And she buys you a meal if you save her from being raped.
And she
So if you save her
she
from
is willing
you
to pay
raping
for
her,
meals.
she'll buy you a meal?
Yeah.
So that's who I would choose as my waifu. Those two
Strong
choices,
reasoning, although not good choices. But no good choices all around, honestly.
There
Well,
are
we
no good
already
choices
knew what to
in this.
expect when he said none of the girls.
Yeah. Ben, would you like to go?
You go first, Joey.
Well, he's going
Okay.
third.
I'm gonna stew a bit longer.
You know, I like Steven's reasoning with the with the rape victim. That's really solid. That's number 2 for me, I'd say. But I just gotta fucking go with the rooster guy from episode 5. He just sits around and he talks about money all fucking day. I cannot get over how great this guy is. It's like he's a caricature. He's just a greedy business guy. And then they were just like, no, I feel like we haven't emphasized enough how much of a greedy business guy he is. So like every other line is just him like, this will be really good for money. And he's just like the fucking Monopoly guy, just constantly scheming to steal everybody's money.
And he says things like turn a small profit.
Yeah. I love him. And he's got passion. He's got wealth. He's gonna go places in this world. Okay, he cares about things.
Yeah.
And
I hear that.
And I really respect that. And also as an economist in training, I gotta respect the greedy
Wow,
asshole capitalist screwing over poor people, because that's all that economics is. It's just screwing over poor people. Because fuck poor people, they fucking suck. Like, are you kidding? Of course we're trying to raise up the bourgeoisie and oppress the proletariat. The proletariat are a bunch of assholes. Get out of here. You asking for meals? Can I have some more Oliver Twist? Fuck you. No. My money.
Man, it's a real shame that you had such a strong argument. But unfortunately,
everybody can get
for
behind
you,
capitalism.
Unfortunately for you, your contender is automatically disqualified for being a man, because we all know men are superior to all women in any genre.
That's true. That's
automatically discounted. Now, if we were talking about the men in the series, if we were talking, hey, if we were talking about choose your husbando, then yes, Chicken Man is in the running.
Does that mean my choice of the dolphin in episode 1 is invalid?
We don't know.
Its gender,
he could be whatever you want him to be.
I don't know that.
You said he. You
Calling
said
him
whatever you
Colin.
wanted him to be.
I wanted him to be a he. Maybe Ben wanted him to be a she.
I don't know, that beefy arm kind of gives it away.
Well, women can work out. Not well, but they can.
Chase, you can try and disqualify me all you want, but I think
I already did. He's already disqualified.
I think the people are going to be with me on this one. I think the people really want to be
You
rich
mean the
and
same
say,
people you just said that can die?
No, not them. I'm talking about the bourgeoisie people. Those guys. They're going to back me up, okay? Me and my elitist crew. But Ben, you go ahead, I guess. Whatever.
I've had a good long look at all of the characters. I honestly,
That's dangerous.
I'm not. I'm at a loss.
You're putting yourself at high risk.
There's no one one winner of my affections. No one clear winner except maybe Leah, the dragon girl. But
Yeah.
she's kind of creepy when she transforms. So I don't like it. And
Bro,
can I tell you guys why I don't like Leah?
Bro, imagine what that tail can do. It cut through a tree in one slice.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys why I don't like
No.
Leah?
We don't talk about things here.
Here's what I hate about her.
She's
She's
going
got
to
a
talk
trash.
anyways. I said no.
Well, you did the same thing.
Up. She's got a trash voice. I hate her dubbed voice actor.
Yeah.
Every character in this show has a trash voice, but I hate hers.
Steven, you are aware she's
Um,
a woman.
and her-
of course her voice is trash.
The entirety of her character is just this girl who walks around in a maid's outfit for God knows why,
and you
with
you were
dual
gonna complain
pistols
about that?
she sucks at using, and then she half of her character is just this. Well, like she just starts like screaming. And she's like, I don't like. It's just irritating. It's like, shut up. Just
she
stop.
sounds like another one of my other top waifus, the Tasmanian Devil.
Chase, no men. You get out of here.
Hey. You don't know that.
Steven, I have to say, I don't see how her ability in dual pistols is going to come is even going to be relevant in the bedroom, so I don't.
I mean, she's
see
just going to be
your
stuck in the kitchen,
point.
so, like, I don't even know why the pistols matter.
It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
but what if while you're fucking her, okay, she transforms. And
Yep,
then
that's what I'm hoping for.
She's got all these claws, and I'm not appealing to Chase here because I know he's a masochist, fucko. But Ben, what if she transforms and then you got all these claws and you got a tail and wings and feathers getting in your mouth and everything? Just doesn't sound like a good situation.
Well, relationships
you know who you do
are
want,
about
though, Ben?
compromises.
You
and
want a
she's gonna have
hot,
to know
you want a
she
hot
can't-
fluff a tail.
She can't transform in the middle of copulation.
Well, I think
We
Steven's
set
got a good point.
boundaries.
You say
You want a fluffy piece of tail.
you're talking about making compromises, but with the rape victim, you don't have to make any compromises at all. She's there for you, which really fits into the whole.
Well, I think the
main servant
compromise
thing.
there is that you're going to be with her.
I personally get a lot out of pleasing the other person, and that's not something you're gonna get out of a rape victim. Not unless
right.
you're willing to put the work in.
Most
for a
certainly
whole
could be,
afternoon until
because
they break.
guess what? Because guess what? If you do a good job, you know that you've pleased her because she'll buy you a meal. She'll buy you a meal if you do a job well done. And that's the simple fact, Ben. If you're not willing to accept
Wait,
that,
hold
then
on.
I just simply
Why-
think that we're on different terms here.
Your woman is defective. If you have to do a good job in order for her to feed you, she should just do that anyway.
Oh shit! Chase makes a really good point.
Chase, your choice is a 300-year-old
Dude,
grandma.
imagine how many recipes she knows.
She doesn't know any recipes. Her only meal
I'm a chase.
is like.
I'm a chase.
Oh God. Oh God.
Even though I've been disqualified and it doesn't matter.
Joey, I'm going to allow your vote to count this one time.
300 in dragon
All
years
right,
is very
well,
young.
I guess that Chase is just a dragon guy who really likes dragons, so of course he gravitated towards some weird
His
dragon.
Twitter handle
half-breed.
is @MagicAndDragons.
I know, but I refuse to accept her as a character because I hate her with such a deep passion, just as I do every character. Thank you for joining us on that segment.
Woo!
And it's time to expand outside of
The
just
Sands
like
of Destruction
rephrase.
expanded universe.
I want a whole movie franchise of sand. Please
At
give it
least
to me.
9.
I don't know how to even jump into describing what I hate about this show without just talking about everything, because there is no good part in this show. There is no moment that I look at and say, hey, they did a good job with that. Every single moment that happens, at rewatching this a second time, I'm literally laying in my bed squirming. I'm actually squirming.
Yeah.
And like screaming watching this because it made me cringe and hate it so much.
Hey, didn't you have a story to tell?
I do. I have this little story. We were supposed to do this podcast yesterday, but here's what happened.
Steven
that
dropped
didn't
the
register
ball.
in my brain. I dropped the ball hard. That didn't register in my brain that we were supposed to be doing it yesterday. So when I got home from school, instead of even trying to watch it, I just decided to take a nap. And I woke up from my nap when my mom came into my room and woke me up and told me that she had invited a friend of mine over, Calvin, while I was sleeping. So Calvin is in my family room while I'm napping. He's just there. And so I definitely at this point didn't have a chance to do the podcast or even watch the show for a second time. And beyond that, so Calvin and I were like goofing around playing video games and whatnot. And then I was like, all right, Calvin, time to let you in on a little hidden gem. So Calvin and I watched all of Over the Garden Wall. And then I drove Calvin home and I came home. And I had to go from watching a miracle masterpiece like Over the Garden Wall to Sands of Destruction. So you can imagine my pain amplified from having to go from one thing that's so great to one thing that's so tremendously opposite of that. So that's my story. It was a suffering. I suffered.
I have
That's a terrible idea.
I have a thing.
That story was not worth the wait. You go, Ben.
There is a simple rule on the internet, the only rule,
34?
and it is, if it exists, there is porn of it.
Yeah.
By definition, Sands of Destruction does not exist. It is so bad that no one has made porn of it.
That's not true.
Yes,
That's
it
not
is
true. I did research and I found it.
Where is it?
What?
Research.
Dude,
Where is
show
it?
me.
I found it.
I need to see porn of
I
this.
found it.
Yes.
All right, let me
I couldn't find
just
any.
look it up. Look it up on Google.
Hey,
just
I
look
found
up
some.
Sands of Destruction Dojinshi, and you'll
I
find
couldn't
it.
find
It's
any.
it's on eHentai.
Oh, you Italian.
There's
I'm looking at what you're looking at, Steven. Yeah.
Yep, it exists. It's there.
Hey,
the
nobody
fuck is it?
subscribe to the Italian internet. It
I
doesn't
couldn't
work.
find it.
I put it on the chat.
Okay, let's open this
Okay,
bad
let's
boy up.
do a
Let's see.
dramatic reading on the show.
So it exists.
I'll read the
it does
guy character's
exist.
lines. Oh yeah, there it is. Morte nip.
It's not.
Yep.
It's not in English.
Ain't this
Nobody wanted to
wonderful?
translate it.
Oh man, it's not even the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad.
You know, it would be pretty good if it weren't horrible.
Yeah, I guess it is bad.
And
But
tell you
it's
what,
not
I'm a
as
little
bad as I would have
put
expected.
off by the gif of someone being fisted in the top half of the screen. Not enjoying that.
Dude, ad blocker.
God, I hate this show. Oh God.
Okay, well, enough of that.
Yeah, this show is the best out of all the shows.
All right, we need to fucking recover from the abysmal fucking story that Steven just told. It just all took us down a
Yeah.
notch. And really, I think this porn helps us bring things back into focus, okay? We need to talk about good things. We need to talk about bad things. We need to talk about everything because everything in this show is fucking incomprehensible.
Yes.
Who wants to go first? Who has a thing that they think just needs to be said?
I want to. I want to go first.
No,
Let me redeem myself.
Steven?
Let me redeem myself from telling a bad story.
But you cucked us out of the podcast yesterday.
Too late. I'm going anyways. Wow.
I hope that was his point.
I'm gonna
just
leave
wow.
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave the big points to the other guys. But here's something I hate. That Joey was probably banking on. Sorry to cut you out.
No! God damn it!
Character design. The costumes, the character designs in this show, I genuinely can't express to you how much I hate them.
Dude, those fucking boot things that Morte has.
In post, Chase, please bring up a picture of Morte. Why on God's earth does this woman have a bow tie? Like it's
she looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh character.
Thing. It's trash. I hate everything about her costume.
She just came from
I
high
hate
school.
her eyes.
Sans high school.
I hate the way that they animated her. And that goes for every character. Every character in this entire show should be written out of existence and redesigned if they are going to be designed in the first place, because they all look like trash. They're boring, they're bland, and they try and get creative. Why is the Dragon Girl in a maid's outfit?
Well,
why?
that's not really much of a problem.
Where did it
Not
come
really
from?
a maid's outfit.
It-
It's just a dark goth outfit.
No, I am not okay with it because it's stupid. I don't understand it. And furthermore, and this goes with character design too, the Beastmen in the show need to pick a side, because apparently Beastmen can be like literal humanoid dogs, like just dogs that walk on, they're bipedal and they have like hands with fingers, but they're just dogs. Or they could be like just a normal human who has ears, like dog
And
ears, or a
also
tail, and
regular
that still counts as a
animals
Beastman.
exist, like horses that draw carriages and.
I don't understand, like, what the writers were thinking when they were like, well, what should we do for Beastmen? Just like dogs that walk on two legs? Nah, let's have like some guy who's like just a normal guy, except he's got like a blue and white tail. We'll call him Naja, and we'll put him in some weird sleeveless
Naja,
outfit.
or like Naja.
Well, Naja actually is a half-breed, though, so his weird thing makes sense.
I don't care. It's trash.
Well, I think it would be okay if like that was the standard for half breed, that they looked like that, but they never really go into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody else, they're like, oh, that's just a beast man. That's
Yeah.
that one too. He looks like a human. Nah, he's a beast man. Don't worry.
World
about
building. This show basically says humans are oppressed and let you figure out all the rest just based on stereotypes.
I mean-
in media.
That's
Well, see, the show doesn't have world building.
They
It
never
has the
go into
World
it.
Destruction Committee.
Oh my God, Sans, the World Destruction Committee has no world building.
It's not really world building. It's more like world crumbling in on itself because somebody doesn't know engineering.
Well, that's
look,
what happens when you make
my
things out of
cat came in.
sand.
My cat came into the room, and I stood her up on two legs, and now she's a beastman. Oh wow, I'm so creative. I'm so creative. I just had my cat walk on two legs and called it a job well done. Oh,
Well,
God.
you're a cuck standing on two legs. Does that make you a beast man?
testicles on its tail?
No, that makes me an infinite cock.
I will agree
We're a
with
subspecies.
Steven's point about the aesthetics because it's impossible to disagree with it. None of the characters really line up with each other or play off of each other's like color palettes well. Like
Nope.
Morte's the only one wearing pink. Tapi and Kirie kind of play off each other. Like Toppy's got yellow fur.
Yeah,
and
it's got yellow
Kirie's
and
got
blue.
blonde
Oh,
hair.
hold on a second.
and, you
By
know.
the way, a beastman can also just be a teddy bear. By the way, that's also a
dwarf
thing.
yeah.
bear. Don't call him a teddy
Golden
bear.
Grants. Holy shit, that reminds me of my... Oh my god, I gotta talk about this. All right, we're done with Steven's point. Okay, there is a point in the show where they arrive at this clock town, episode 10, and there's this alligator guy whose name is Alligator Master. Wonderful name. Love him. He's beautiful. I call him Obama because, Obama's a lizard guy. That's factual. Anyways, Obama's standing there, okay, and he's just like, oh man, I'm so fucking great. I've just got all these robots. I'm a god of creation.
I understand everything.
He's just really jerking himself off, okay? And then his robots, they try and capture the World Destruction Committee later in the episode. And one of the robots, the robots are programmed only to listen to beastmen. All right, they can't listen to humans. And so like that's good for Toppy because he can.
It's a metaphor for racism.
He can order the robots around, but Morte and Kitty can't. They're kind of fucked. But anyways, Toppy starts ordering this fucking robot around, and he's like, "Hey, help us hide from Alligator Master because he's gonna put Obamacare on us, and we don't want that. Individual mandate needs to be repealed. It's a problem." So like they start hiding and shit, and this robot's helping him, and Alligator Master's like, "Hey, we need to stop them from ordering this robot around. I need to get this robot back under control." And he's like, "I specifically have a law in the robotics code that says that bears can't order my robots around."
Well, no. It says members of the bear tribe.
Yeah. And then one of the robots responds, "It appears that he is a dwarf bear." And that's all that it takes to circumvent this fucking genius's robotics programming.
He had the wrong wanted poster that he based this law off of.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh,
okay.
God.
But he's so good at seeing into the future that he programs the robots so that members of the bear tribe can't be ordered around, and it's a dwarf bear this whole time. Fuck, dude. That's
Yep.
You see, it's funny because he's always been saying, "I'm not a bear, I'm not a bear," and then the fact that he wasn't a bear came into the story.
Yeah, it's like a poem. It rhymes.
Also, Alligator Master could have shut down that robot at any time because later in that very same episode, he just stops it. Like, he's like, "Okay, you're listening to me now. I've overwritten your code." But he didn't do that before. Like, just turn it off.
Chase. You're overthinking it. Don't you get it, stupid? He was a dwarf bear the whole time.
Oh my god, how could I not have seen it?
He wasn't a real bear, stupid.
Oh, man. Oh,
Kuma.
Oh, let me tell you about the story arc that I went through.
What story arc?
Fucking. As I was watching this, you start off the show, and every little thing is offensive to you. Okay?
Yeah.
Because there's just so much stupid bullshit in episode 1. Episode 1 is just really a clusterfuck.
Dude, when I was taking my notes for episode 1 are the longest of every episode. It's like 5 times as long as all the other ones. It's ridiculous.
Let's take, for example, the World Salvation Committee walk into the
No,
bar
that's it. Just listen to that name. Just listen to World Salvation Committee and World Destruction Committee.
Yeah.
Come in to search for the World Destruction Committee, which they named it that, and it is one person.
And also, canonically, they were formed to stop them.
Now here's
shut up.
Actually,
and let me
oh damn!
Wow,
they
Ben's
order
breaking loose.
everyone to stand still. Morte stands up and walks over slowly to where her weapon is. And the military just to let her... First, she left her weapon far away from her and just casually walks up and picks it up.
Don't you get it? They couldn't tell it was her weapon because it was wrapped up.
And
just like Bleach.
This is such a drag. Why can't you guys just let things go?
Yeah, like destroying the world.
No, she says, this is so annoying.
Since I just spent all my money on this food. What?
Hold on, Steven. I want to make note of this one thing that this scene leads into, which is her fighting them with a giant ass sword, and they're all shooting like machine guns at her. And I have in my notes, I wrote bullet from gun or giant ass sword. I wonder which will move faster. Oh, never mind. She's not dead. That was just one of many passages from my notes.
You chose correctly. Yeah, I as I was trying to relate earlier, everything when you first watch the show, everything is offensive, and then like as time goes on, there's like you're just like, fuck it. Like, what's the point of writing that down? I'm sure something even worse is gonna come along. And then and then episode 4, I think breaks.
Whoa! You're jumping the gun here.
I'm just trying to get to my point, okay? My point is that I got so fed up with writing notes on this fucking show that I just started describing things, like trying to come up with my own asinine fucking explanation. Like Morte is so retarded that I'm just like writing a novel a novelization of Sands of Destruction in my notes because I can't. I'm so past the point of pointing out how stupid she is that I now have to make art in response to it. That's where I'm at. That's my fucking point. All right, everybody else can talk.
All right, so I want to talk about this because I didn't catch this on my first viewing, but I caught it this time, and oh boy, is it a doozy. So a few things. First of all, what is the World Salvation Committee? Beyond just a group of people who apparently are set to save the world, but like, where did they come from? Because we don't know if it's like a government institution. You know, we don't know if there even is a government for these beastmen. So it's just some group of people who are trying to save the world, and you assume it was started in response to the World Destruction Committee. But I don't think that's true.
It is.
Because in episode, I think it's 11, Nadja says to Leah, you haven't been with the World Salvation Committee for very long, and yet she's been with them since episode 1. So how long have they been chasing after Morte for, like, what is the World Salvation Committee? Is it a government institution, or is it just like a group of random people who were like, hey, this sounds like a good idea. I don't understand it. I don't understand any of it. None of it is explained. None of it makes sense. Oh, God.
Yeah, all right, well, in episode 8, which is when they get trapped in a submarine, I'm not stuttering. It was at the end of the episode. They say explicitly the World Salvation Committee was formed to stop the World Destruction Committee, and after we capture you, there will be nothing left for us to do.
But that's my point still, though. Like, how long have they been chasing after Morte that Leah hasn't been with them that long?
Oh, nobody fucking knows. I don't think the writers even knew.
What time have they had to form a committee around stopping her when she has done nothing yet? I'm guessing before the show starts, she's just been standing around announcing that she wants to do this. So someone took notice and decided to stop her.
Typical women trying to get attention by screaming out their nefarious plans. I'm gonna sleep with your brother. I'm gonna stop cooking dinner. I'm gonna destroy the world. Of course, they're never gonna do it.
Yeah, of course.
There's so many random things that just sort of happen in this show. Like, the story of the first episode is Kyrie, the main character, and Morte end up going to this sort of church place, which
Say
is
his last name.
Kyrie Illness. Kyrie Sickness. What the fuck is Morte's surname? It's something stupid as well. Morte's surname, Morte Ashera.
It's like Ashera, demon.
No.
Maybe. I don't know if that's what they were going for.
Kyrie and Morte end up in this sort of church place because they're just sort of sticking together at this point. They're both being sought after by the government. And in this church place,
no,
there is
unspecified.
Well, yeah, true, but hey,
just call them the WSC from here on out.
Yeah, they go
the
to this
WNBA.
Church. They go to this church, and there are these monk people in there, and they are secretly. They have the little sister of someone's little sister, and they're going to sacrifice them to these cat people for a reason that is unspecified.
It was for the sand god. The sand god was going to give them good tidings.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, they're just going to sacrifice her to that sand thing so they have good luck or something when they're going to
sacrifice a woman.
Sand fishing, yeah.
And when Morte shows up, they're like, oh, cool, we can just sacrifice the traveler.
We can use this random bimbo.
Because then no one will be sad. Meanwhile, the little brother of the girl who was going to be sacrificed goes and finds Toppy, a random hero from around. Because hero is just a title you have. It's not anything you
Well, he's from a hero guild, remember?
He's from a hero guild, which never comes into play again.
Fucking unions.
Easy
the kid
there.
goes and asks Toppy, please, could you help me find my sister? Meanwhile, they've tried to spike Morte's food so she would fall asleep so they could take her away. but because of her PTSD from her troubled childhood, she can't eat the food, and so Kirie eats it for her, and he ends up falling asleep. She runs away when she sees him fall asleep for some reason.
Oh, Ben.
And the villagers decide, well, you know what? We'll just make him look like a girl. That'll
After
work.
some sad piano
We
music
are in danger of skipping over a very important detail, okay? Morte is going away, but she needs to disguise herself, and she needs to find some sort of decoy so that they think that she's sleeping in the bed. And what does she do? She wraps up some sort of like blanket contraption, and she makes sure that this thing has massive fucking knockers so that it looks like her. Like this 16-year-old cunt thinks that she's like the cool
17. There's a world of difference between between 16 and 17. It is important to a girl.
She's 17 and she says that she's 16 and she thinks that she's got giant boobs, and so she fucking has to describe the decoy, give it giant boobs, which are like loaves of bread or whatever.
They take Kirie, who is fast asleep, and they put him inside the decoy, so it looks like he has boobs. Give that to the cat people. Okay, so Morte, for some reason...
And nobody checks it, by the way. They just kind of take it at face value.
No one checks. They just go, okay, cool, nice, random guy. The cat people doing their ritual, they throw Kirie down, Kirie wakes up. Morte shows up for some reason. Like, they never indicate when she kind of just changes her mind and goes, oh, wait, I should go back and check.
No. That's not true.
She just sort of shows
That's
up.
not true. Let me describe it. Okay, Morte's walking through the forest. She's all like, oh, I gotta skip town. Oh, no. And then somebody sneaks up behind her. Who is it? So she sneaks up behind them and puts her sword up to their neck to like, you know, get the drop on them. Only problem is the way that the whole thing is framed, it's like it's the little girl. The little girl snuck up on her. And for some reason, she doesn't realize that she snuck up. Like when Morte comes behind the little girl, she doesn't realize that it's a little girl. So she puts her sword up to the little girl's neck, and then she, after a second of staring at her, recognizes it's the little girl, drops her sword, and then goes, oh, it's just you. And then she's like, oh, sorry, I gotta bail. And then the little girl's like, no, they were gonna use you as a sacrifice, but it turns out they're actually gonna use Kirie. And then she's like, oh, fuck, and then she has to go back. I've studied this first episode so much. I know it like the back of my fucking hand.
You know what? There is a very important detail that we have all skipped over. No, we have to cover this, but because it may be too late if we don't talk about this now.
Do. Shit, what?
Kirie's job had room and board. What? Are you kidding me? No. Of all the things this show has tried to do, this is the most offensive. I refuse to believe any shitty cafe part-time job gives you room and board.
This society is not progressive enough to give the working class such high wages. Bullshit.
And I want to be clear here, because I feel like we're just describing episode 1, and we haven't fully captured the essence of Sands of Destruction. So I want to make this clear to the audience, for those of you cucks who aren't quite at my level of cuckliness, who aren't going to watch this trash heap, that this is like a weird episodic-ish show with some continuations towards the latter half of it. And every episode like progressively tries to do ideas that just become more stupid over time. Episode 4, as Joey said, really sets the tone. Episode 4 really sets the tone for what you're in for. And it just, like, we can't just explain why episode 1 is bad, because every episode is horrible in its own right, and there are worse episodes than episode 1.
Definitely.
There are. Yeah, I mean, it's just that's the problem. Loosely, this show is an adventure story about a girl who wants to try and destroy the world, and then And no, wait, we need to explain her motive. She's an angsty teen. Her brother got killed by beastmen, so her solution is destroy the world so that everyone is dead, and that somehow saves everyone.
Have we brought up how she plans to do this?
With this little orb called a destruct code that she doesn't know how to use.
It's kind of a stretch to call it a plan.
The main issue with this show is it has no driving force, really. It's just, and it kind of turns out in the end that the whole thing is just some sort of naive wish by one person, and no one ever really stopped her. And that's it.
I disagree. I don't think that's the main problem. I think the main problem is the fact that for basically every episode, the writing is fucking abysmal. Nothing makes sense. There's no consistent world building. There's no consistent like tone changes just happen, and nobody gives a shit.
And like nothing they bring up makes any sense. Like the destruct code, what the hell even is? They don't even go into what it is besides it can destroy the world.
Code? What is code-ish about
I
it?
don't know. The code
object.
is that we should stop watching, and we didn't listen.
It's a coded message.
We need to
from the people
destroy their
working on
world
it.
by not consuming it, by not watching their world. If we're not seeing it, then it doesn't exist. Therefore, it is destroyed.
If I may, I would like to read another passage from my episode 1 notes.
Oh, please.
Destruct code, huh? Oh, I see. With that black ball, she'll repopulate all the black people that aren't around and take over the world with their superior basketball skills.
Yeah, that's Morte's plan.
Oh, God.
Now imagining I'm closing a book as I finish reading that. A very big book.
I want to ditch episode 1 because there are so many worse things to talk about than episode 1, and I really want to get into the Colosseum episode and the medical guy, the elephant master.
All right, well let's move on to episode 2, and then we'll go on from there. I mean, I think that every episode, okay, this show, every single episode has at least one thing that is so profoundly stupid. I can't even. It boggles my mind to believe that anybody could come up with it.
Can I just make one final point about episode 1? It'll be super quick. At the beginning of the episode, Kyrie is in the restaurant, okay, and there's a couple of random background characters who are like talking, and they're like, "Hey, where's my sand shark eggs?" And then the owner of the restaurant's like, "We're out of sand shark eggs. They've had a bad harvest." And then the guy responds, "You'd think the world is coming to an end."
Dun dun dun.
That's it. Oh no, we're having a smaller amount of sand shark eggs. The world is coming to an end.
It's called foreshadowing, Joey.
In a world where only sand creatures exist, every creature's name is still prefaced by the word sand.
Yes. All right.
Oh no, it's
Steven,
a
you wanna
sand
move on?
whale and a sand snake.
I do. I want to quickly mention to everyone that, just so we're all clear, the oceans are made out of sand, and somehow boats and fish can still swim through it as if it's a fluid, which really irritates me because you have these shots of like this boat that's like riding through the sand ocean, and it's just sand, and it somehow manages to just like do its thing, and then you have like this sand whale that like breaches, and it's like a humpback whale thing, and it like goes back into the sand like it's water, and I can't get over the fact because there's one point after the when they all get trapped on the submarine or whatever it's called.
You were close, but it's probably better than what they said. No, don't.
But anyways, there's one they escape out of this thing, and they are all in the sand ocean, and they're just sitting on the sand because it's sand. It's not a fluid. You sit on sand. You know what I mean? It doesn't just magically engulf you like water. And they show this shot. Oh, the balls on these writers. They show this shot of it like pans, and it shows the sand ocean coming onto the sand beach like water in an ocean would crash on, and it transitions from a sand ocean to a sand beach. And how do you discern the difference? Because the sand ocean is colored more like it's got a pinkish color to it, more than the beach sand does. And oh boy, does that the fact that they managed. They were like, well, I can't even get into it. I can't even express my frustration in words. So I'm
hold on. I got another frustration with a sand sea. I'm surprised you didn't bring up. So once again in episode 8, because episode 8 for some reason is the episode where they explain everything and it makes even less sense.
Oh, dude, episode 8. Fucking go ahead, please.
Okay, so as Steven has said, everyone's able to move across the sand sea as if it's water, ships, wildlife, and whatnot. So in episode 8, they get trapped in the submarine, and they're at the bottom of the sand sea, and Kyrie's like, "Hey, why don't we just swim out?" And they're like, "Hey, moron, there's like millions of tons of sand on top of us. You'd be crushed instantly, even though it's not crushing the ship."
Okay.
What?
All right. Okay. I need to cut in here. I need to say something. It's burning in my soul. Okay. Fucking Morte is an idiot. She's retarded. She's
what?
She's such an idiot. Okay. It's a feat of writing to write somebody this consistently stupid.
Yep.
They're at the bottom of the Sand Sea, episode 8. Okay, they're in a submarine. By the way, called a submarine because they're not underwater, which would be a submarine. So weirdly, they had to change the name for that. But everything else is sand something. So that's fucking stupid.
Sandaranine.
They're at the bottom of the submarine, or at the Sand Sea. Excuse me. And
It's weird that
Agon
they
says,
paid such attention to that one detail of the world building.
yeah.
It's the only part they paid attention to.
Yeah. So Naja says, I misspoke earlier. Naja says, we're at the bottom of the Sand Sea. He says some other line. And then he says, any chance of resurfacing was probably lost during that explosion. Okay, now I want you to imagine for a second the gears that are turning in Morte's head. Okay, I want you to think about all the mental
grimy,
processes.
rusted gears.
All of the code that she's running through, okay? She is Morte, okay? The intellectual equivalent of a troll, okay? She comes in and she's, she just clambers into this conversation, just tripping over everything, knocking over stacks of books, tripping on rocks.
With her knife blade, at Naja's throat.
dropping the world destruct code 9 times and then picking it back up again. And then she finally wipes the spit off her face, the dribble of spit off her chin, and she puts on
Does
her
she
special.
uncross her eyes?
She manages to. We don't know why or.
She has
or
to hit her
how.
head a couple of times for them to knock into place.
Yeah, from tripping over, and then she puts on her special thinking cap, which is a bird's nest, and she says, "Are you telling me that we're trapped at the bottom of the Sand Sea with no way out?" I fucking love her. She's so great. Oh God. Oh, I love this show. Somebody else, please talk.
Oh man.
Oh no! Wait! It gets better.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you had some more in you. I believed in you.
Because just a few seconds later, you get Kyrie, and Kyrie is an intellectual. Okay, he thinks about things. He's a mathematician. All right, and Kyrie says, "Hey, why don't we just swim out?" And then Morte says, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard."
No, that was Leah. Because he was trapped in the bathroom with Leah when he said
really?
that shit.
I thought it was Morte.
And then his next idea is like, why don't I take the toilet as a helmet so I can keep air?
And then Toppy can climb on my
out.
back, and Toppy can keep giving me CPR like he did earlier, so that I'll have an oxygen tank.
Yes, Toppy can just conjure up oxygen on his own.
Oh my God! And my one of my favorite parts of episode 8 is they're like trying to get the engine running. It's a few minutes after the wonderful transaction I just described, and Agon's there. He's at the front of the ship and he's trying to figure out how shit's working. They're trying to get it working, and then you hear some noises. And it's a sand whale off in the distance. It was at the beginning of the episode, and now it's coming back. It's like a poem, it rhymes. So the sand whale comes out, and it starts making noises, and it's like, the ship's kind of shaking, and they're like, oh shit, maybe we could use this sand whale to help get us out of here. And fucking Agon says, we've got a sand whale, and then it has a half opacity picture of the sand whale just flying through the middle of space over top of Agon's face. Like, we don't know what a fucking sand whale is. Like, we can't put 2 and 2 together. Holy shit, I'm spitting. It's so great. It's so great.
Maybe episode 8 really is the greatest episode of all.
I love how they fly out of the
Dude,
sand.
episode 8, at the beginning of episode 8, okay, all right, I gotta take a step back. At the beginning
Dude, with the Russian walruses!
Yeah, the Russian walruses, but even better than that. At the beginning of, somewhere in episode 2, towards the beginning, Kyrie, passes out because they're on a ship and then it blows up or some shit, whatever. He passes out and then he wakes up on this merchant boy, Agon's ship, okay? And he wakes up and they have a specific shot of him holding onto the destruct code with his arm, laying completely outstretched. and he like wakes up and he sits up in this specific way. And then in episode 8, they do the exact same thing where Kyrie wakes up on a Gon's ship with the same set of shots, and it's used to convey no meaning whatsoever. But, you know, it's like a poem. It rhymes, so it's okay.
Escaping from that.
There is no escape. Episode 8 is the greatest.
I want to go now to one of my personal favorites.
Oh, and my absolute favorite. I know. I'm ready.
Ep 5, the Coliseum episode.
Ew.
So what happens here in this glorious, magnificent transaction of words and actions that take place? Basically, they are near this town, this city, and in this city is this Roman Colosseum, of course, where apparently beastmen pay to watch other beastmen kill humans in like a gladiator style thing. And so, of course, Morte and Kyrie get captured by this teddy bear who looks a lot like
talking about
Toppy.
the fact that this Colosseum exists, by the way.
Right.
And
right,
you see it in the background. They're right there next to it.
Yeah. And they wake up in this prison cell. And the show goes on. There's the rape victim. This is the wonderful episode with the rape victim and the rooster boy. And basically, Toppy is separated from Morte and Kyrie, and he's like in this town, and he sees this girl who's about to get raped in the middle of broad daylight by this other beastman, and no one bats an eye. Everyone's just like, all right, well, it's happening.
Well, that's because normal functioning people are okay with it.
Right, of course. And so Toppy like steps in, and he's like, hey, leave that hot fluff of tail alone, mister. And so he fights this guy, and it's not really a fight because there is no actual fight.
Well, he just throws him.
A bunch of sloppily animated.
Like he just grabs the guy and throws him.
He just throws this guy. And then guess who enters? If not the black teddy bear that we saw abduct Kyrie and Morte in the beginning, and it turns out that he knows Toppy and they're friends because they're both teddy bears, but don't call them teddy bears. And so they're like talking. And oh god, this black teddy bear gets his own little like story arc towards the.
His name is Yappy, by the way.
His name is Yappy. Yeah, he gets his own little story
and their
arc
color
by the end of
palettes,
this
man.
episode.
They're like inverted color palettes. I wonder what that could mean.
Dudes, hold on.
Oh.
So, dear viewers, if there is one cancer that will kill me, it's that Toppy has to say Kuma after every goddamn sentence he says.
Yeah.
And his reason for this is that he's trying to honor his tribe or some shit.
Yeah, it's a tradition.
And now, upon meeting this black bear, from the same exact tribe, he now says bear, while Toppy says Kuma. Even though I know they're the same thing in different languages, but it's not the same. This is a fantasy world where there's only the one language.
And this is
why are they
very
saying something
confusing
different?
Because bear is an English word. It interferes with all the sentences.
Well, anyways.
Did you see that bear?
No, where is it?
Exactly.
As it turns out, this black yappy bear, it turns out that he was once a hero, but he gave up becoming a hero to become a kidnapper,
because
a
he
thief, and a murderer.
accidentally killed someone.
Because
So
he accidentally killed someone,
alcoholic,
exactly.
and he couldn't deal with it.
Yes!
And they have this
Yes!
stop. They have this shot. They have this wonderful, beautiful shot where he's explaining this downward spiral of his life. And he says, like, I accidentally killed someone. And it cuts to him sitting in the rain with a bottle of alcohol next to him.
Oh.
And he's like, he's been drinking his pain away. And this, like, rooster guy took him in and cared for him. And so he has to work for this rooster guy now. But this shot, oh man, you know that these animators and writers were like, oh, it's going to be so meaningful when we show this shot of him in the rain, like drinking because he's so depressed about his life. And it's one of the most magical things that this show has ever done or could ever do.
And during
and
all
for that
this, the writers were thinking, you know, every other show, when they show a tragic backstory, they show an actual, like, whole scene with several camera angles and transitions and visuals.
Not this one.
No,
Not-
they
not
thought,
us.
no,
Not
we
us,
have to
they
be
said.
groundbreaking and do the absolute bare minimum work and show exactly 2 still shots with a voiceover over it.
Well, I think all of that is kind of accentuated in episode 5 by the fact that, Yappy, he has his friend Toppy captured and thrown into the Colosseum with Kyrie and Morte. All right, and they go out and they start battling some stuff because the plan is to get the World Destruction Committee killed. The Toppy is doing a great job. He's just such a champ. He's such a cool dude. He's taking care of all these monsters. And Yappy's like, fuck, I guess I got to go down there and fight him myself. As he's on the way down there, who does he run into but Rape Girl? He runs into Rape Girl, who is there for some reason, and she says something to him. She's like, hey, what the fuck's going on? What? And he says...
She says, that guy saved me. You can't let them kill him.
Okay, thank you. And Yappy responds, Toppy isn't the only one who can save people, I was gonna jump in and save you from that rape if it weren't for him. So really, Yappy just feels bad because he hasn't stopped enough rapes in his day. He just wants to prove himself to be a rapist. So in response, he has his friend captured, thrown into a coliseum, and nearly has him killed. But when that doesn't work, he goes down there to finish the job off himself.
And get
Bravo,
his ass kicked.
Yappy. Bravo.
Oh, man.
This show is enough to drive a man to insanity.
Oh, dude. Okay, I have to talk about episode 4. We have to talk about episode 4.
Let's do it.
Episode 4.
Fucking do it.
Episode 4. They're walking. They find a town, and what's in the town? Beastmen. So they got to dress up. You can't be a bunch of humans running in a Beastman town. You'll get raped like that goat girl in the next episode. But anyway, so while they're there, they find out about the curse of the cherry tree.
Oh boy!
And this curse is that if you break off a branch or hurt the tree in any way, you'll be cursed to death. And what is the immediate first thing that Kyrie does upon arriving at this tree?
Breaks off a branch.
Yeah, you know it. And guess what? The curse isn't real. It was made up by this spiffy young lad named, I don't know his name,
who just sort of like steps out from behind the tree. He doesn't really...
Yeah.
He's just
there. Yeah. And that's going to be a reoccurring theme in this episode because to make
that's
sure...
a reoccurring theme in this whole show. People are just there.
No, I'm talking about this guy. This guy in particular.
Okay.
But anyway, so Kyrie and Toppy are like, well, if we don't just die in front of everybody, they'll think the curse isn't real. So let's go back into town and pretend to die so that people will be convinced that the curse is still real. And so they do exactly that. They go into town. They come up with this dumbass plan where they drown themselves and then, well, that's it. The plan is that they end up drowning in front of everybody. But the World Salvation Committee gets in the way, antics ensue. They're going down the river. They're going towards a bridge, but they're like, crap, they're catching up to us. What are we going to do? We're not going to drown fast enough at this rate. And then from across the bridge, they see that guy, the guy from the cherry tree, and he winks at them and he goes out of view. And then suddenly the bridge explodes. Out of nowhere. It just crumbles on top of them for no reason. And they get away and everyone thinks they're dead, right? Okay, cool. Moving on to the actually bad parts. This was just a warm-up. I'm just revving your guys' engines. Because while all these antics were ensuing,
why does the guy say that that the tree isn't cursed?
Oh, right. Well, he spread the rumors because his girlfriend and him were supposed to meet up there because their village was like razed to the ground by a bunch of beastmen. So then they said they were going to meet there of all places for some reason. So that's why they need to spread the curse. Yeah. But anyway, so while all the antics are ensuing, Morte finds the village just somehow. She just finds it because apparently it's literally just up the hill. Like that is like an actual
his
quote.
Cottage.
No. She says that the village is up the hill. Like I went to a village. I found where he lived. It was just up the hill.
Yeah, where he lived
Anyway.
wasn't a village anymore, though, was it?
No, it was where the village was.
Okay.
Anyway, so while she's there, she finds this guy's corpse, and she can recognize it because of the weird wristband he has. And so she goes back and tells everyone that, and they're like, wait, did we see a ghost? You know,
Yes,
the ghost
did.
the ghost that was interacting with us, pulling us out of the river, touching us,
Yeah.
and whatnot. But anyway, so then they decide to leave, freak the fuck out. And as they're leaving the village, you know what they see? They see an elderly woman walking towards the village. And she has the same wristband on her. Because that's his girlfriend. Because guess what? This battle, this raving of the village, it took place like decades ago. How many? They don't say. But entire decades. So this old ass woman couldn't go down the hill for like 50 years. Are you kidding? I know. Okay.
Well, and moreover,
I know.
the main
Hold on.
characters-
Women have a bad sense of direction to begin with, okay? I'm aware of that. That's why they can't drive. However, it should not take any human being with even the smallest modicum of intelligence to walk down a hill in less than 50 years.
Well, I think what's important about this also is the fact that the main characters, like Morte, not even the main characters, just Morte. Morte sees this elderly woman, sees the bracelet, recognizes that it's probably the guy's girlfriend, and then does nothing, and then the episode ends.
Even though the human is about to walk towards the Beastmen town, where she is surely gonna get raped or killed.
so the main characters have no bearing on the story of this guy's life, and also the guy's life story has no bearing on them. The episode means nothing.
And
They didn't learn anything.
Nothing means nothing. That is an understatement. This show means
Well, hold on.
nothing.
Nothing
There
does
is no
mean
meaning to
something.
this show.
I mean, it means nothing.
Get the fuck out.
Stop.
Can we talk about episode 6, guys? Can we just
If
talk
you
about it?
yeah, the second half though, because the first half is unimportant and nonsense.
Yeah, I'll summarize the first half right now. They're in a desert. Okay, well, this is important.
No, that was it. You did a good job.
There's 4 continents. Well, there's at least 4 continents, and they're called the winter continent, summer, spring, and autumn. Like, they just had to go with seasons. Like, they're just like, fuck it, we'll name them after the seasons.
Right, because that's how weather works. It just stays the exact same in one place forever.
Yeah, because the Earth is
we've
flat.
ditched out.
Yeah.
We've ditched out on a very important fact that I know I mentioned at the end of the last episode, but I have to mention again. And that is that this entire show is adapted from a Nintendo DS game.
Oh, yeah.
So that needs to be said, that everything that you see is coming out of a Nintendo DS game. So they were already off to a phenomenal
And from
start
what
with
little
this.
research I did about the DS game, it has a much more fleshed out world than this show, and seems to go in an
yeah.
entirely different direction.
IGN seems to think it's a half decent game.
Well, I don't care about their opinion.
Yeah.
But oh my god, okay, the one thing that the game does that needs to be said. Morte is
Say it. I know where you're
Morte
going.
is a known threat to all beastmen. No, feared by the name the Scarlet Plague. She is called the Scarlet Plague. It is feared by everyone. It is the best.
Oh man, great stuff. Well, we need to go back to the fucking show, because obviously that's what we're here to talk about.
We
Folks.
may play
Yeah,
the game.
and we need to talk
Episode
about
6.
the best guy ever
Yeah.
in the show.
Except for all the others. So episode 6, they're on the summer continent, which just means desert. Okay, and
Yep.
they're dying, and then they come to an orphanage, and there's a fat kid walking around who says, "Hey, what's your job?" a lot. I fucking love that fat kid. He does it like twice.
He's looking for a man with a stable income. All right, he's got
Because
priorities.
it's an orphanage. He's got. Anyways, so they come to this orphanage and shit's going on, and then the World Salvation Committee comes to the orphanage somehow, And they walk up to the leader of this orphanage, who's this big elephant guy. You know, he's real nice. He's a real kind dude. You know, he's got that Santa Claus kind of like, oh, you know, he's real friendly.
Oh, and by the way, this orphanage is a place where beastmen and humans can live equally as one. So real revolutionary.
Apart from the fact that they find a
place
place like this in episode 7 as
don't worry
well.
about it. Hey, don't
The
worry
very
about
next episode, they find another place which could be the.
Don't
Well, it was a little different in 7, but we'll get to 7. We'll get to 7. That has its own brand of moronic stupidity, of godly.
I don't know what you're talking. Like,
Girth.
there's actually like good stuff in 7, but we'll get to
No,
that.
Joe. I'm kind of going back to my point that every episode has one thing that is so profoundly stupid. At least one in every episode, and I think you know what I'm talking about in 7.
We'll see. We'll have to talk about it. But anyways,
All right.
The World Salvation Committee show up and they start talking to this elephant guy, who I forgot to mention is named Doc Elephant. So great props to
at least
that.
it's not
Props to the
Elephant
naming
Master.
community. I don't know. I think Elephant Master would be cool. He'd be a rad guy. Anyways.
Well, it would at least go with the running
has
theme.
a real title.
So these World Salvation Committee guys, they come up and they start talking to Doc Elephant, and they're like, hey, we're looking for the World Destruction Committee. And Doc Elephant doesn't want to give him away because he's like a pacifist and everything. And then Naja, the half-breed, says, wait a minute, I think I recognize you. You're the King of Desert Slaughter. And then we have this great shot of Doc Elephant. The right half of his face is shown, and then there's like background behind it. Okay, and
Which is on fire.
and you see an overlay of fire appear. Okay, it doesn't start off with fire. The overlay of fire comes in. Okay, and then they pan over, and they show the left half of his face only. So now the right half is off screen, and you can see Naja and Leah in the background, and then they drop the fire overlay. So we don't know why it was there, but you know there was some crazy shit in this guy's past. Okay,
and don't forget random nurse like apprentice dude who's just listening in coincidentally and literally drops the ball.
Yeah, So, like, every time they talk about Doc Elephant as being the king of desert slaughter, this happens, like, twice. They show this image. They, like, have a bright flash of white light, and then they show this image of Doc Elephant standing in the midst of a bunch of flames with a couple of giant fucking swords and fire all around him.
There was, like, a sword and, like, some kind of giant, like, axe hammer.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe these things.
Slaughter stuff, anyways.
Yeah, it's slaughter knife.
Every time they describe him, they show that image and then they cut back to whatever they were doing. So we don't actually see what kind of desert slaughter he engages in. Okay,
I like to imagine he got so fat because he won a dessert eating contest, and so they call him the king of desert slaughter. But people just keep pronouncing it wrong.
Oh god, it's terrible.
So those things he was holding were actually just spoons.
Ben, were you going to say something?
Yeah, the idea behind this guy is the classic, I've done things, I've seen things, but now I want to atone for my... I've seen things, I've seen them with my eyes. I've seen things, they're often in disguise, like carrots, parrots, cheese, knives.
What is happening?
I think he's got a screw loose. We need to find it, guys.
Ben has seen things. He saw this show.
Have you not heard that before?
He's only a child.
It's by the same guy who did Look at My Horse.
Oh, okay. Well.
Ben, that's inappropriate. There are kids listening.
You're a kid listening.
I'm one of the kids.
He's the classic, I've seen things, but I want to atone for my sins. I'm gonna make a children's hospital, and they'll make it all okay. But they never explain, 1, what he did, 2, why he did it, and 3, how does this guy who was clearly all about slaughter just suddenly do a 180-degree flip into charity hospital?
Because he is on the summer continent, which itself is 180 degrees, his brain was cooked, and as we all know, when you fry your brain, your personality does a complete 180, just like the number of degrees.
Because this guy was
Oh,
clearly
man.
evil at one point.
Yeah, I
He kills the nurse's wife and child.
I like
he's-
how we're actually just calling
tiny
this
child.
dude the nurse, even though he's just a doctor himself.
Oh.
Anyway, so
But yeah,
so
now he
nurse
runs a
like
children's
finds.
hospital.
Yeah, so like, so later that night, the nurse, I'm gonna call him that forever, just finds Doc Elephant and like ties him up in a cabin and is gonna light him on fire.
Man, what about the birthday thing though?
Well, that's that.
Yeah, I was
well,
gonna
I think
say.
they cut to that right after
Morte-
showing this.
Morte hears noises, and she steps out. She's like, "What's going on? Where are my friends? Why is everyone so missing?" And
As opposed to being a little bit missing.
precisely, and she goes looking for them, and she finds them, and they're making a cake, and she says, Oh my god, you guys, I could have expected this from a bunch of kids, but not from you guys. You're adults. What the fuck are you doing?" As if making a cake was a bad thing to do, like they were being irresponsible.
Yeah. So they're making a cake for Doc Elephant's birthday, which is coincidentally the next day. Wow, great. So Morte's like, you fucking idiots. I can't believe you make a cake. Wow, it's so childish. And she's walking back to her room. And then she sees or hears something. And she's like,
No,
huh?
she looks and she sees the cabin has a light on. And
Okay.
that is all it takes for her to go want to check it out.
Yeah. So she goes over to this cabin, which is Doc Elephant's cabin, and guess what? He's been knocked out by the nurse. Okay, thank you. And but here's the fun thing. Okay, he gets knocked out by the nurse, and then like wakes up minutes later, and like so it's very very ineffective knocking out. Okay. But where is Doc Elephant geographically, like within this space? Well, he's on the floor. And he's tied up, he's got his arms tied up, and he's looking up, and the first thing that he sees upon opening his eyes is the nurse, who is standing over him with a candle in his hand, lit, like the flame pointing toward his head. And there's a bunch of gasoline surrounding Doc Elephant in a circle. And
Because first of all, gasoline exists in this world.
Oh,
Like, not
sure.
gunpowder.
Also,
but
so do
gasoline.
guns.
in a barrel.
Turns out that the World Salvation Committee uses guns, and the world and everyone else just uses like swords and bows and arrows. But there are guns and giant robots that can rocket launch hands out of. So like there is no clear definition of what is used in this world as a weapon.
technology.
But yeah,
all over.
basically he's saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna set fire to everything with you in it.
Yeah, so he's I don't think he says anything quite yet. I'm not sure. But Morte comes in the room, okay? Morte comes into the room and she sees these two guys, they're clearly having a moment. They're clearly something's going on here. And Doc Elephant looks at Morte and he's like, "Whoa, what are you still doing here? I made up a bunch of bullshit to the World Salvation Committee to lead them off on a wild goose chase so that you guys could get out tonight. But if you're still here, then that means," and he looks over at his nurse and he's like, "You never gave them the message," which I think should be pretty fucking obvious from the fact that this nurse is about to burn him the fuck alive.
Also, your little hamlet is like 20 feet wide. Why can't you just like walk over to them and tell them yourself?
Yeah, sure. So anyways.
What?
So Doc Elephant is saying this, and then the nurse says something back to him, and he's
like, you killed my family.
He's like, why should I aid known criminals? These guys are the World Destruction Committee. Why shouldn't I? Why should I help them? Except he's kind of like missing the elephant in the room, which is the fact that Doc Elephant
There's an elephant
killed his fucking family, and he's about to torch him for it. And Doc Elephant takes this time to exposit that yes, it's true. I was a bad guy. He's laying on the floor. He's tied up. He's got gasoline around him. So let's exposit. Yes, it's true. I was a bad dude. I killed a lot of people. but something within me changed. My brain got cooked. Whatever Chase said earlier.
180 degrees, baby.
Yeah, and so fucking just don't do it. And then
I saw a girl with really great boobs, and she turned me around. She made me see the light.
Yes, exactly.
I knew right from wrong.
And fucking what's his face? The nurse. The nurse comes back with I need to make sure he suffers just like my family. And so his plan is to burn both of them alive, I guess? He's not near the door. He's standing on the
wrong side on the door.
So if he were to light the gasoline, then it would just light the whole fucking thing on fire.
I don't know. I mean, this seems like a double suicide kind of thing, going out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
I really. That's not the problem, though. The problem, though, is that Morte, in response to all this, because as we've stated before, she is a literal genius. She starts cackling to herself, not laughing. It's a cackle because she's a witch.
She's Hillary Clintoning it up. Okay.
And she goes, "Go ahead. I don't care if you kill him. I'd kill him. I just want to destroy the world." And the nurse goes, yes, let's do it. Let's kill him. Let's destroy the world.
Let's they're just gonna elope now. They're just gonna burn the whole world together now.
And then Kyrie shows up, and that's really all the important stuff that goes on.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other.
Oh no! There is one more. The kids show up drop their birthday cake, and they all jump. They dogpile on Doc Elephant. They're like, "Please don't kill him." What was that one thing they said? There was one really funny thing that one of them said. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to go through me. Fire.
Get it, our Doc Elephant. You're gonna have to go through me.
You're gonna have to burn me alive first.
And in seeing that, the bad guy gets a flashback to his little girl saying, "I love you, Daddy."
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes.
The biggest crime that this show commits is having characters that don't stand for anything and just do things because the story demands them to.
Well, they do stand for something. It's just that they don't.
No, they don't
do it.
Morte is just this bumbling fool who runs around.
This sounds awfully reminiscent of a point I might have been making earlier.
Morte is the missing link between ape and man. Okay, she is Lucy. She is the bridge between fucking beast animal and Neanderthal. But go on.
She quite literally runs around saying she's going to destroy the world for no real reason that has any substance behind it, simply because her brother died and she's mad, and that's it. And she has no real way of ending the world. She just has this little sphere that she holds on to. And she carries around this wrapped sword that she unravels to fight with, and it's the most ridiculously retarded looking weapon I've ever seen.
I've got to smash this hypocritical world, even though I'm not explaining why it's hypocritical.
And she says numerous times, all beastmen are evil. Every beastman is a horrible human being, while she gallivants around with Toppy, who is, by the way, a beastman.
And a better person than anyone.
And she still doesn't care. And Kyrie is this meaningless sack of garbage that runs around pretending to know what's going on, declaring himself a chef of the fine arts. And Toppy is this teddy bear who doesn't like being called a teddy bear. And all these characters are just running around hopelessly trying to accomplish a goal that none of them really believe in. And none of it ever comes to fruition. It's all a lost cause. The show just happens to people. That's it. Everything is trash. And I to go into every episode describing why it's trash is just to restate the obvious. The characters are stupid, and they make bad decisions.
Hold on.
There's a reason why I've been doing this. It's because I think this show is the ultimate experience in bad anime. Garzy's Wing, it's great. It's good. It's a classic.
What are you talking about? Garzy's Wing is a masterpiece. There's nothing wrong with it.
Sands of Destruction is pretty up there, though. It's a pretty great contender, and I just love describing this show. It's just so much fun to talk about all of the ins and outs and possible connections. What could these people have been thinking when they were making it? I'm not describing this to talk about this is the problem. I'm describing it because I think it's fun.
Same.
Guys, okay, you know what?
Having said
All right,
that, let's
episode 7.
continue.
No,
wait, stop.
episode 7.
Ben, you want to go first?
Yes. No, I don't know. What's Chase gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna lead into the discussion of episode 7, all the batshit
Yes.
crazy things that happens there.
Yes.
I think we still have a thing to say about episode 6, which was, after all of this, the kids drop a cake when they come in to the room, and the candles on the cake stay lit. I don't know whether you guys have ever seen a birthday cake, the birthday cake candles, but if you drop a birthday cake with the candles on it, they will either be put out by the fall, or by falling inside the cake, falling onto the cake, and getting all the stuff on them, and it puts them out. But anyway,
You know
the
what,
cake
Ben?
candles stay lit, and the barrel of gasoline, this wooden barrel of gasoline, rolls over to the cake and sets the entire cottage on fire. After which everyone runs out, and Morte begins except for the elephant and the bad guy, who are stuck in the house. And just as Morte's saying, "Well, nothing we can do," Elephant Man just stands up and he walks out of the house unscathed. And there was never anything to worry about in the first place, because he could have just broken his bindings and walked out of the house if he had been set on fire. There was no danger.
Yep. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful, beautiful. Chase, get on with episode 7.
All right, yeah, it's episode 7 time. All right, gang. In this episode, they travel to a town of humans, but they don't hate beastmen for whatever reason. They just kind of let them do whatever the fuck they want. It doesn't really matter. It also just doesn't make any sense, since humans are supposed to be like under the beastmen's thumb or whatever. Whatever. Anyway, while they're there, they find out that there's a group of 3 who are pretending to be the World Destruction Committee, and it's this group of these 3 schleps. You got this blonde playboy. You got this
who looks like
quiet...
he's fucking mad. He looks like
and
he's
also,
insane.
He also looks like he's like 38,
Yeah.
trying to pretend to be a 17-year-old dude.
Yeah. Same
And then
thing
you
I
got
was
the
gonna say.
Then you got the little girl who's just quiet, and then a giant bear, like this 8-foot brown bear who they're having pretend to be Toppy. And because the residents of this world are such like benign dumbasses, they believe that the little tiny yellow bear on the wanted poster is this giant behemoth. It's so great. And eventually everyone's in the same room, and we got a policeman who's interrogating both squads to see who's the real World Destruction Committee.
Chase, I gotta stop you, okay?
Go
you're
ahead.
You're not doing this justice.
All
right?
Okay. Then please, by all means.
Okay.
I
And
remember
we need
this.
Justice,
Oh, God.
all right. We need fucking justice for the
Oh,
people.
we need justice, all right.
Okay. Toppy is upset that there are people around who are besmirching his good name. Even though 2 episodes ago, he assumed the burden for his friend Yappy. He basically, said, all the bad shit that Yappy did, I did that, that was me, I'm evil. Really playing the hero or whatever. But
And
now...
officially announced that he was part of the World Destruction Committee.
Yeah.
To
So
the public.
He's owning up to his criminal reputation, but in episode 7 this totally goes back on that, okay? Now Toppy is upset that somebody is going around getting a bunch of free meals in his good name, pretending to be him. So, Toppy tries to investigate a little. And then we get to we get to evening. They're at the inn. Kyrie, Morte, and Toppy. They're eating. Everything's going fine. And then who walks in the door but the 3 imposters who we have seen, doing their imposter thing in the past. They happen to come to this particular inn, okay? And they walk into the room, and the guy at the front is like, "Yo, we want you to pay up front because there's been some crazy shit going around. Some people saying they're the World Destruction Committee.
It's just our policy. Just pay me.
It's cool.
Never
and of
comes
course,
to anything.
Of course, these people don't want to pay anything.
It does.
So the lead guy is about to announce that they are the World Destruction Committee, so that they can get their free meal. He's about to announce this. He's in the middle of the sentence, and then a policeman shows up right behind them. Holy shit, what do they do? This man just goes through all the mental processes. It's like Sherlock. He's like seeing all the fucking shit fly up in front of him. He's in his mind palace contemplating what could happen. He's hearing sound effects, seeing visuals, and he looks over to the nearest table he can find, and it's coincidentally Kyrie, Morte, and Tapi. And he says, what I was about to say was, the World Destruction Committee is over there, and he points to Kyrie, Morte, and Tapi. And
even though he could have just not said anything and just walked away.
Yeah.
Like, there was no reason for him to oust them like that. Like, he could have just shut up and turned around.
So the whole conceit of the next, 10 minutes is the World Destruction Committee trying to prove that they're not the World Destruction Committee.
For no reason. Though in every single episode they have had no issues with announcing to the world who they are for the most trivial of matters.
Tiny middle-aged policeman.
Yeah, he's old. He's like this 70-year-old police officer
who has no weapons.
I think he has like a baton or something.
And he takes
but anyway,
30 seconds to process everything that's said to him.
Yeah. So he's like at the end of his interrogation, and he's about to decide who's who.
Wait,
he turns.
Don't brush over the fact that they have a competition. This whole thing is set up as a face-off. It's a face-off between these two groups to see who's more like.
It's like America's Got Talent, but it's like the World Destruction Committee.
And oh shit, I gotta go through my notes. I got so many fucking notes. So they're talking, and the lead Kyrie guy's like, "Sir, would you describe my bulging muscles as scrawny?" And the policeman's like, "That's a good point. You don't really match the description." And then they like each do a pose. Each group does a pose to show how friendly they are. But then Morte's skirt rips because set up from earlier in the episode. It's not important.
Yeah, that's a running gag because she's gonna get angry if they tell her.
Where they say, and the woman's supposed to be strikingly beautiful. And Morte has a face like, God fucking damn it, why do I have to be so hot?
Yeah, so Morte's skirt rips, and she beats up Kyrie and Tapi. And she's just wailing on him off screen, and the policeman guy is like, I guess that settles that.
And he turns and looks at a picture and is completely distracted by it. Like, everything in the world disappears. He's just like, oh, what's this picture of a koala? And the fake committee just turns and walks away. They're like, yep, it's time to go. This is our chance to get out. He's going to be a while.
Yeah, so then some shit goes down. And the guy's like, hey, these are these fucking like antiques that were also robbed, that are connected to this whole thing. And then the owner of the store, his wife, and then a bear, all just pop up.
Like a bear that was supposed to be stuffed just starts moving, and it's just an actual bear.
Yeah,
not like a bear beast man. Like it's a full-on bear.
Yeah,
it is. A bear
like
beast
way
man.
more realistic than the other any other creature in this fucking show.
And for some reason they're just like, we're also a fake World Destruction Committee.
Yeah. So there's two groups that are claiming to be the World Destruction Committee. 3 groups claiming to be the World Destruction Committee. 2 of them are imposters. And one of the groups was getting free meals, and they happened to show up at this inn and point to the real ones. And then it turns out that this inn is run by the other group of the imposters who are stealing antiques. Oh my god!
Oh, and then the Salvation Committee shows up, and then they destroy the place.
It's whatever. Rest of the episode sucks, but it's like a feat of writing to think to put them in this situation where everybody's got all these complex fucking ties, and it's so small scale. Like I would love to write something like this golden little nugget nestled within a show of complete garbage. Like even the whole setup, everything surrounding it is the dumbest shit ever. But just this one gleaming moment of brilliant writing needs to be acknowledged.
I wouldn't call it brilliant writing, but I would call it a damn good time. This is by far one of the funniest things that has ever happened in this show.
Yep, and that's why it's well written, because you enjoyed yourself.
Once again, kids, profoundly stupid. There's at least one every episode, and this was this episode's.
Yep,
I think
it's all great.
We've already talked about 8.
Yeah, we have.
And then, and pretty much 10 through 13 are all kind of along the same line, because that's when it's actually story instead of just random nonsense. I'm skipping episode 9 because nothing of any substance happened. Literally nothing happened that episode. We learned, the only thing we learned is that Alligator Master exists. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of that episode. And they discuss him like in a sentence. They're like, oh, he's researched the Destruct Code. Maybe we should find him. Done. Everything else out of the way. Time to the side story.
Well,
That's weirdly the main part of the story this episode.
I just want to say something about episode 10, because I think episode 10, it's really just
Please do. Please talk about episode 10.
Beautiful. Episode 10, they go to this clockwork town, all right? And they're
which, by the way, is like 200 years more technologically advanced than the entire rest of the world.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah, the Clockwork Town. Well, it's started by Alligator Master, aka Obama, who is just standing there. He's like, look at all these great things I've done with the individual mandate. It's so great. And the episode starts off with him standing on the balcony, and he's just sort of like jerking himself off, like, oh man, I'm so cool. And I really think, they go through a journey. They go through ups and downs over the course of the episode. And then the episode ends with Obama standing on the balcony overlooking Clocktown. And, this is the point. Stephen, I need to say this. This needs to be said.
I need to say...
This is the point of the show, okay? Because at this point I realized that this show is like a poem. In fact, it's almost like a clock. The beginning is like the end. Like a clock, like A Clockwork Orange. A Clockwork Orange, which is a movie about returning to the same state in the end as you did in the beginning, just like a circle, almost as if time has no effect. A movie about forcing the organic and the inorganic together in a crude parody of what it means to be human. Just like this show is an inorganic fuckfest on my eyeballs, forcing me to be on this crude parody of a podcast. The main character... he engages in acts of debauchery with his 3 companions, and they go on these adventures, and the main character, he's got an appreciation of the high arts, and he's got a callous disregard for human life exemplified in his debaucherous acts, and then he gets tormented by a cadre of gormless idiots, a bunch of people who just bumble around acting like they're human beings and just fuck up his life, and that's kind of like how this show fucks up my life, how it's the worst fucking thing ever invented. I cannot comprehend how terrible it is. This show is an experiment to see how far the human soul can be pushed. That would be my human soul, and it's being punished for the sin of engaging in this fucking podcast. This podcast, which is an experiment to see whether we can make something decent together. Much like this episode of the podcast is an experiment to see whether we can effectively talk about a show that truly transcends words. Much like how the words I am speaking is an experiment to see how much I can get away with.
Right,
much like how I can't get away from
Shut
sand
up,
because sand is coarse and rough and it gets everywhere. Because sand is poetic. I said it before. It's like a poem. It rhymes and it returns back to the beginning like a clock.
I'm talking over him. Here's
Obama is my tormentor.
Here's the deal.
Save
Here's
me,
the deal.
Jesus.
We're all talking.
Save me from Obama's lizardly stash. He's overlooking Clocktown. He's twirling his stash, talking about how evil he is. There's no escape. Ah!
All right, so I'm gonna cut all of that out. And in summation, all that Joey just said was he's basically Morte.
I agree. So here's the deal. These characters are they're wondrous things. They're beautiful. And you have all of these like Beastmen villains that come around. They have like different personas, So in the submarine episode, you have these like Russian, the Russians are the ones piloting the submarine. It's classic, and they're walruses, and they're Russians because of course it's and they have mustaches, and of course it's the Russians with the submarines. And then here this alligator master is like this Asian character. You know, he's wearing like Asian robes, and he's got, you know, like the Asian like low hanging small glasses on the nose.
He's got like a weird wig though.
Deal.
I think that's because he has a long snout.
Yeah, and going on.
And no, that wasn't a wig. That was his hair.
Of course, you have Eagle Master, who's like an all-American guy. You know, he's like balding in the back, but it's not
like a true
bald.
American.
Yeah, and so you get all of these like beastmen, and they're all like different characters of different countries in real life, because they couldn't just have one set accent. They said, hey, these guys driving this submarine need to be Russians. And that's the true brilliance of Sands of Destruction, is that they don't leave any details out. You know, they say, got a couple walruses driving a submarine, let's have them be Russian. Got an alligator who knows everything, he's super smart, let's have him be Asian. You know, they pick up on these details in rapid succession, and they really don't leave anything out. It's quite magical.
Somebody else talk. I have nothing left to say.
I don't think I've ever been so profoundly bored by two separate people.
Well, we never actually got to the finale because you were too busy pussyfooting around small episodes.
Well, I was leading into the finale. That's why I was saying
Ben
episodes 10 through 13 were all the same thing. I was leading into it.
So
we can talk about them all at once.
Taking a roundabout way of getting there.
No, I was going straight to there, but then Joey decided to jerk us aside onto a path that led into a cliff.
You know, I'm sorry that that this experience has been so profound for me, and that it's opened my eyes to the way that the world works and the way that this show works. And you know, I'm just really sorry that you can't see the light. That this is the greatest show of all time. I know what I said earlier. Okay, all right. Well, you take it away, Chase. Just take it away.
I crap my pants.
Well, that's it, everybody. I guess that's all.
The finale. This show ends in a total clusterfuck.
Okay, fine.
There we go.
The fucking destruct code, after their little escapades in Clocktown, the destruct code shows fucking everybody in a 50-mile radius that they need to go to the Dragon Valley, just out of nowhere, because for some reason the destruct code is showing them random-ass places they need to go for no apparent reason throughout the whole show. So they go to Dragon Valley. They head there, and they fight Leah, Dragon Girl, and then Alligator Master, after studying the destruct code, or like he just shows up there and he blows people up with a cannon to steal the destruct code so he can learn about it by putting it in a machine that we don't know what it does. It just learns electric stuff, and now he knows everything about the destruct code. And then the labyrinth of memories. Steven, you can take it away.
Okay. I don't know what happened there. Basically, the Alligator Master is a god amongst men. If he puts metallic claws in a machine that he shouldn't have designed without whatever, if he puts metallic claws around the destruct code, the destruct code will just reveal all of its secrets to him, as a woman would to a man that she was deeply in love with. And so this destruct code basically reveals to the Alligator Master everything that should be known by everyone else, but only he gets to know it. And he basically learns this grand secret that I will not reveal yet because it's not the right time.
Kyrie's the destruct code!
Cucked again. Well, Steven's out of the chat now. Great. Now that we've lightened the load. So, what's going on? The Alligator Master's figuring shit out. They all have to go to the Dragon Valley, which is just so wonderfully named. Just like everything in the show is wonderfully named.
I don't have a problem with this, with it just being called Dragon Valley, because it'd be cool if it were actually a valley of dragons, not a valley that just has a bunch of ice in a weird-ass cave.
It's just like basically a giant Arctic area. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all
nothing
that there is.
dragony about it. It just has a bunch of ice.
Well, look who's back. Have you had a good long think about your actions? No, he's not going to say anything? All right. So anyways, they all have to go to Dragon Valley. That's the point. That's the moral of the story, folks.
And when they get to Dragon Valley, they find themselves trapped in this great little ditty. And how do they get into this place called the Labyrinth of Memories? Toppy is like on the verge of hibernating this whole time because it's cold and he's a bear. And so Morte, to wake Toppy up, chucks him at a wall of ice, and the wall breaks, and it turns out there's a secret passageway, and it's actually the Labyrinth of Memories. And so they get into this magically discovered place, and they all start remembering things. And this is where we enter the introspective episode, where the artists of this, the writers, really push how deep this show actually
I think you need to put some heavy quotes around writers and artists.
Right,
and
I don't.
pushed.
Anyways, thanks for trying to tell me what to do.
And
but
quotes.
anyway, so they show up here, and Morte starts remembering all these memories of her brother and how great he was, even though he's just like just some guy. She's just butthurt that he died. And then basically, of course, Kyrie, his greatest memory is him applying to the diner.
It has free room and board. How could he not love that place?
So he remembers that. And Toppy remembers being back in his little Kuma village or whatever. And basically, over time, these characters realize that that their greatest enemies were themselves all along. And that they have been the ones holding themselves back. And so, they're all like sad and heartbroken about it. And then Kyrie starts remembering these memories that apparently he shouldn't remember because he wasn't there until he finds himself dead on the ground next to Morte's brother, who also died as part of the human resistance to the world destruction, or to the beastmen called the Golden Alliance. And so basically, Kyrie eventually realizes, after quite a few altercations, that he himself is the Destruct Code. It was in him all along, and that the little orb that they've been running around with this whole time was a storage unit. For what?
His
Who knows?
memory.
That's never
It's just a flash drive. It's just a flash drive. It doesn't hold his memories. We don't know what it holds, but we know that it holds something, I think. So it's a flash drive that gets plugged into Kyrie's butt.
Well, where else would it go?
Of course. And so basically, this fantastic group of events transpire where Eagle Master, in all of his infinite bird-like glory, captures Morte and Toppy and is
Hold on, you missed a vital part. You missed a couple vital things. One, the Labyrinth of Memories has entrances all over the goddamn place. I don't know how they got lost in there, because fucking Leah, when she gets blown off a cliff and Nadja has to swan dive into a ravine to catch her. They somehow fall into the labyrinth too. Even though they're falling hundreds of feet down, they still find their way into it. And Eagle Master is just shooting random mountainsides to find them, and he just breaks down a wall and they're there. And when he's confronting them the first time, he shoots a bazooka at them, and Kyrie bumps into a wall, and that breaks, and he's going even further down the Labyrinth of Memories. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. But anyway, yeah, then they got captured. Enter Steven.
Great. So their Eagle Master is trying to get some information out of them, and Kyrie is sitting in this lake when he comes across Leah and Nadja, and they're both Nadja is this. I don't know if we've talked about Nadja, but he's this half-breed guy who fancies himself. He fancies himself a real analyst of sorts. In episode 2, when they're on this pleasure boat. Instead of just capturing the World Destruction Committee, he says, hey, let's play by their rules. So he challenges Morte to a game of poker, and using his intense analytical brain, he seizes victory. So
even though minutes before he does this with her, Leah's hey, I'm gonna shoot her. They don't see us. Let's just kill them. And he's just no, we have to beat them in what they're doing. For no reason at all. Even though if Leah were to actually aim her gun for once and it pointed at Morte's fucking forehead, they could have just killed her right then and there.
Yeah. And by the way, that's another important thing to mention. Leah is a half dragon.
I think it's just full dragon. I don't think there's like a distinction there. I think dragons can just be girls that transform.
Well, that's not true though, because we see a shot of Kyrie remembering himself standing, and there are like actual dragons flying.
Maybe there's
by.
something else. Maybe those are Dargans.
No, she's a dragon half breed. Her dad was a dragon, and her mom was a normal human, and somehow they made it fit. And so the dragon had a micro penis, and that's how it worked. But essentially, Leah
either that or the mom had a
remembers,
macro vagina.
Yeah, Leah remembers meeting Kyrie as a kid. Back, as she states, back before she even turned 100. Ooh. And so...
Yeah, talk about jailbait.
And what did Kyrie do when she was a kid? Well, he found a flower on the ground and gave it to her in a nondescript white location.
It was magical. And so essentially, that all happens. Nadja pushes up his glasses and says, "Can I ask you something? Are you... Huh. Well, I don't quite know how to say this. Are you the Destructo?"
No. He doesn't say it. Alligator Master, out of nowhere, shows up, and he's just like, "Your hunch is correct.
Yeah.
He's the Destructo."
Alligator Master just shows up out of left field. He's coming out of Compton. He's straight out of Compton. And he,
yeah, have you seen that hair?
Yeah, Obama, straight out of Compton. That's his life story.
He confirms the rumor that Kyrie is in fact
the rumor, the gossip that's been spread around school.
And then as if a dog is drawn to a car, Leah is drawn to the Alligator Master, and she like hulks out, and she goes dragon mode, and she starts like literally spinning him around in the air. Like she's just standing upright, and she's got him by like the arm, and she's just like spinning him like a lasso in the air.
Shit without his
and
giant
he's completely
robot.
helpless. Right. And so Kyrie like takes off in this fleet of hurriness and shows up where Eagle Master is torturing Morte and Toppy. And he like kills these two guards by turning them into sand, and he breaks down the door by turning it into sand, and then he gives this blank stare to Eagle Master after Eagle Master tries to kill him and turns Eagle Master into sand.
I feel like there's a reoccurring theme here, but I can't quite get what it is.
Well, I think
Something
if
to
that
do
theme
with
did exist,
sand.
it would probably be coarse and rough and get everywhere. But I just can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and so anywho, this all happens, and then it's of course figured out by Morte's gears. You see the rusted,
grimy,
broken, grimed up. You see
a hamster.
She has
in a ball.
You see that she takes like an oil dropper and puts it into her ear and starts like squirting oil into her ear, and all of a sudden the gears start turning, and she realizes, oh man, Kyrie is actually my long lost compadre.
No, she tells him.
Who I've never met.
He tells her.
She tells him.
He tells her.
That's right. He tells her,
and that's how she figured it out. It's because he told her.
Because she gets told. She gets mansplained that he is.
He takes a wide stance. He puts on his Confederate coat and his wig.
Yeah. Exactly, and so as if a child who's learned no moral lessons over the course of this show, Morte has learned no moral lessons over the course of this show, and she continues to decide that all beastmen are still evil, despite having journeyed with Toppy, who's like a nice guy and is a hero. And she still is dead set upon destroying the world for who knows what. She's learned nothing. And so she, after all this transpires, still tells Kyrie to destroy the world. Because guess what? The destruct code can just be activated by any person who really wants the world to be destroyed. That's it.
Wait. She doesn't tell him to. He's kind of just talking to himself.
You guys would think that there was at least one person like that at any point in time.
I mean, for God's sake, just fucking put a password on the destruct code or something, some encryption. But no, any fucking bozo can just walk up and say, I really wish the world didn't exist. And then bam, there we go. The world's gone back to elemental sand.
We just hold on. We just watched the episode. I'm pretty sure it was just Kyrie talking to himself, not really like Morte saying, "Hey, destroy the world." He's just you wanted me to destroy the world at one point in the past, so I'm just gonna do it now because I'm turned on, literally, not sexually.
And so Kyrie starts destroying the world, and Morte is like on this ship, driving away in the sand. Sorry, not driving. Floating.
Hey, a Gon shows up.
Away.
Fucking merchant
he's
boy.
there.
He's delivering some food.
Run into this.
Oh God.
And then Morte decides out of literally nowhere that she wants to stop this. So she she sprinkles herself with fairy dust and floats away towards Kyrie. I'm not making this up. She literally just floats off the ground. There is no jump. It's just whoop.
Well, it's because the wind is sort of whipping around because the world's being destroyed in turns.
Right, because wind works like that. When you're like 3 miles away, it'll suck you in. But once you're 20 feet in, it doesn't affect you at all anymore.
How many times have you been around when the world was being destroyed? I don't think you can speak on how the wind moves when the world is being destroyed.
Yeah,
hey,
Ben,
I've been in there
God.
at least 6 times.
Ben is God. He's been around for every world destruction. Okay, so you just don't. He's the expert.
Someone had to survive those, all right? Jeez.
And so, hold on. So Morte, after seeing her wish come true, after the world is about to be destroyed, decides finally, nah, it's not worth it. I guess the world is fine, just as it is. Except it's still not, because humans are still enslaved by beastmen. Like, nothing has actually changed. They've accomplished no real... Like, they haven't changed anyone's minds. They haven't actually destroyed the world. They've accomplished nothing to fix this world.
Well,
but Morte goes from, destroy the world to, nah, I guess it's okay as it is. And so she jumps off of this ship.
No, not jump.
But
she
doesn't
floats.
jump. She kind of, I would describe it more as like a glide. Like she glides.
The folds from under her arms flap out like a flying squirrel.
Yeah. her arms and legs are outstretched, and she just kind of glides into this sandstorm that Kyrie is creating.
she's got webbed arms made from the brain tissue of the brain that she doesn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she finally gets to Kyrie, and she jumps up. And you have this romantic scene where it looks like she's going to kiss her, but we don't actually see it happen. I don't even think it does happen because it's important to remember that this show is G-rated. All right, it's meant for little kids, and they keep it child.
Yeah, you can't have R-rated stuff like kissing in there.
Of course not. And so, in fact, I think the most we ever got out of the show was a blush from Leah, and that's.
You can attempt to rape someone all day long. But as long as you don't kiss them, it's all G-rated in here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so basically, she's like, Kyrie, I was so wrong. The world's perfect as it is. Everyone's happy all the time, even though 5 seconds ago I wanted it destroyed. We're all good. And so she whispers some bull crap in his ear, and he just gives up. He's like, all right, whatever.
He goes back to being regular Kyrie.
And so he goes back to being normal Kyrie, and
she whispers to him about his
grandma,
code. And he's turned off instantaneously.
Yeah. She says she leans in real close and she goes, "I want you to imagine that your grandma is fucking you with a dildo." And he's like, "Oh God!" And it's instant turn off.
The destruct code is turned on again.
Yeah,
in his pants.
And
Chase, quit describing yourself.
This show. The balls on this show. So you see Kyrie and Morte laying on the ground, and you see the thought to be destruct code ball kind of rolls and it shatters, showing that the cycle is broken.
The cycle that didn't actually involve it at all.
Oh man. And then they have an epilogue. I don't know if we mentioned this, but to preface,
we did not mention this.
Every episode.
With the rest, no. To preface this episode, we're prefacing the epilogue because the epilogue is so great. The show is the preface. Okay,
Yeah.
Fuck the show. Get to the epilogue.
No, shut up. Every time the show starts, you get an epilogue or a prologue from Toppy, and he's talking in his hero voice. and he says some shit about how there's two kinds of everything. And he says, Kuma, and he says some episodes actually have names. They say there are two kinds of smugglers, and then like 7 and 8, they just literally say there are two kinds of, and that's it. They couldn't think of something to put there, so they gave up.
That's not. Oh, no, that's not true. 7 is there are two kinds of companions.
No, whatever.
They all
Anyways,
have them.
It didn't show that way on.
Yeah,
Bird.
it does. You just need to look at it full screen.
Shut up. Anyway, so Toppy always starts in the first episode. Toppy starts by saying, this is the first thing you hear from the show, and this is how you know you're in for a doozy. You hear Toppy's voice, and he goes, "There are two kinds of heroes, Kuma. Those who save the world, and those who save individuals." And it's that type of crap. It's that type of like philosophical nonsense. And I believe there's a quote from I believe there's a quote from my good friend G. Watskery. And he says something to the effects of, a wise man once said there are two types of folk, those who divide the world and those who don't, or some shit like that. And Toppy is definitely the dividing type. He is ready to divide this world into two groups of people.
Steven, hold on. I got one more quote from my notes because you bring up a good point.
Sure.
In episode 1, he has 2 of those quotes. Because at the end of episode 1, he says, there are 2 types of heroes. Once again, those who save the world and those who lead it to destruction.
Oh, boy.
And in my notes, I've just got, correct me if I'm wrong, little bear, but wouldn't you call someone who leads the world to destruction a villain and not a hero?
Ooh, what a quandary.
And so here comes the ballsiest thing that this show has ever tried to do. And it happens in the last, 3 minutes of the show, right before the horrible ending pee takes over your brain. You see these shots of these characters living their lives, and you hear Toppy, and he says, and while we ended the world from destruction, or whatever.
Destruction?
Yeah, he's like, we didn't actually change all that much. Humans were still, enslaved by the Beastmen. But if there's one thing that we've learned, and he's like talking about all this romanticism nonsense. He's like, you can't just, God, what does he say? I don't want to get it wrong because it's so bad. I'm looking up the quote. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it.
All right.
We need to cut this out because we need this quote.
Hold on.
No, I can distract us by just reading more of my notes.
Okay.
First note.
Do that.
First note of episode 13. I regret asking for the plot. That's my only note for episode 13.
I have a poem I could read now that we've finished talking about the show.
Yes, Ben went the extra mile. He found fan fiction of this garbage.
This is The End by Vibraknife, a haiku-style poem for Sands of Destruction Awaken.
Can you run that name by me again?
Vibraknife.
Oh, is that what Morte's weapon is called? Please let that be what it's called.
Oh, that could be the thing from Ava, the vibrating.
No, don't. Stop it.
It reads, "Hello there, strange thing. What be you, being of light? A means to an end? Time goes by, young one. War goes on. People die again. Ending worlds brings change? Destruct, awaken now. Prove those like me to be wrong. The sands of time change. You do not seek this. You seek to change their hearts now. An end has no means. Perhaps something more? Yearning to convince her, too? She will seek the means. Will she end your life? Destruct. You control your fate. The world falls with you. The sea of sands grows. The sands of time be with you, like sands of destruction."
I don't think I've ever heard something so horrible and yet so melodic at the same time, and that's purely because of your voice, Ben. You truly have the voice of an angel.
Yeah, you killed that. I have here the epilogue. I'm gonna read it to you. So get ready. I'm gonna read this to you. Here we go. When the gods created the world, they also created a destruct code to bring it to ruin. So that if someone who believed in the destruct codes then truly wished for the world's destruction should appear, the destruct code would be activated and the world would be reset. The gods placed the decision in the hands of humans and beastmen, and the world was saved. But that doesn't mean that the world was changed. A small privileged class of beastmen still monopolize and control all the wealth, and humans are still oppressed. The destruct code has no power to change the world. We are the ones who change the world. There are two kinds of futures. A bright, shining future, and a future of utter darkness. But even if the future of utter darkness awaits us, there is nothing to fear. Because hope exists in both futures. And because the future continually changes through hope.
It won't end!
Also, I love how the dark future gets hope too. Like they were like, we have hope and we have like bad shit that's gonna happen, but we still have hope with the bad shit.
Wait, hold on, it's not over. It's still got more.
Oh, but the
I don't think it does.
the final moment. We've all been waiting for this moment. This is it. This is the final shot of the fucking series. Okay, Tapi looks back over to Morte and Kyrie. And
no, he's just looking over the cliff. Like, he's saying this to himself in his head.
Sure,
and then finally he says, Kuma, and nods his head because he did a good job.
Yes. And then Tapi looks back and he sees Morte and Kyrie. And they're, like, smiling or whatever, and they say something. And this is it.
Yeah. They say, what are you trying to look... Why are you trying to look so cool looking over that cliff? You're just a small bear, after all.
So what they do... They don't fade to black because that would be too simple. That's not artistic enough. This one it's like a poem. It rhymes, okay? So what they do is they take the final shot and they just have it shrink down until it's nothing. That's the last shot of your show.
If you want to push the boundaries, you just gotta crumble in them. You know what I mean? Gotta collapse inside of it.
Fuck! I dropped my sushi. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. If you watched through the entire 2 hours of that fucking shithole that is Sands of Destruction, we thank you. Now we're moving on to something better. The silver lining. Okay? It's a little ditty called Little Witch Academia. Not Macadamia Nuts, Little Witch Academia. It's a great show. It's on Netflix. It's 26 episodes long. It takes place at Luna Nova Magical Academy, and it follows the main character, Akko, as she goes through this magic school with really no magical background. She's aspiring to become as great as her favorite witch, Shiny Chariot, and guess what? She picks up Shiny Rod, the magical relic left behind by Chariot. It's a great show. Please watch it. And we hope to see you on the other side. Psych! You fucking thought that was the outro! That wasn't nearly high energy enough! Listen here, motherfuckers. We got the best show on the fucking world coming up next week, okay? Little Witch Academia. This one's gonna be fucking rich. Tune in next time. We are ready to go. We hope you are too. Alright, look at me. I'm moving up and down. You can't see, but I'm moving up and down right now. Alright, please watch this show. It's gonna be fantastic. We can't wait to see you on the other side. And as always, my wee scum, have a fucking fantastically horrible day. You thought for a second that I was gonna give you that iota of pleasure. I dropped my sushi.
Running around the room. I love this show so much. 10 out of 10. Everybody go watch it. This has been Fuck I Dropped My Sushi. There are no final thoughts. That is the end. This is the end of humanity. The world has not been destroyed, except it has because the show sucks. Kuma!